Hey, what's happening? So, something a little bit different this week for what it's worth. Star Wars, if you are into it, you must have seen it by now. So, there are spoilers ahead, spoilers for The Last Jedi. There have to be, because that film has left me in such a weird emotional state that, listen, I need to talk about it, and no one I know has seen it yet. So here I am. And the main problem I have with it is that I don't think it's very good.
Oh my god. Damn, dude.
Now, we saw the early pre-release reviews that called it maybe the greatest Star Wars film ever. That's not true. Now, look, all of this is subjective. All review and critique of art is. But, listen, I'm a giant man-child with the Star Wars Blu-ray box set, a lightsaber that I'm too old to own, and I once bought a sweatshirt with the word Star Wars on from Primark. So as far as I'm concerned, I am as equipped and justified as any to review Star Wars The Last Jedi. So here goes. First off, let's talk about some of the things that I thought were excellent about the movie and kind of work backwards from there to missed opportunities and ultimately predictions or worries, or maybe how the next episode is going to go down. So as far as the good things, look, this movie got its best bits very, very right. As right as anything we've seen in the series to date. So let's start there. Everything with Rey and Luke, even including the weird green milk perv alien. Yeah, really, really good. Annoyingly good. So good that I kind of could have dealt with an entire movie just of that. Really good. Luke's a hermit. Rey's coming in. He's being a bit funny. He's being a bit Yoda-ish. Cool, like that. And then we got to see a little bit of edge to it. We got to see some cool story. And there was a really great bond and camaraderie between them. I really enjoyed that. Just as much as I enjoyed the relationship between Rey and Han Solo in The Force Awakens. Although the creepy perv milk alien thing was weird. Yeah, it actually was really weird. Kylo, Ren and Rey stuff, great. Again, a bit odd, a bit disconnected because they have to be on the opposite sides of the galaxy. It felt like an odd story choice. It felt like something that they kind of invented to serve the purpose of the story rather than necessarily being a natural fit for it. But in terms of the chemistry between the two of them, I thought it was excellent. And as the story progressed, when you get them physically alongside each other, the bit where they're fighting with each other, really, really good. And I wanted to see, again, more of that. They are far more interesting than I thought either of those characters were going to be from the first film that they appeared in. I was a little concerned that Kylo was just going to be a bit of a whiny bitch and a bit boring, but it does feel like there's some depth there and definitely a bond, something there that I find fascinating. The Leia stuff was absolutely fine. Really encouraging to see the fact that she's strong in the Force. The death fake-out stuff, I'll come on to, and I'm not a massive fan of, but to see her use the Force was a real surprise. I hadn't expected to see that in the film, and that's good. Good Star Wars showing us something that we haven't seen. For fans of the old Expanded Universe books, seeing Leia be strong in the Force is a massive thing. So even though we don't get to see her, throw a lightsaber around, it is cool to see that in those missing years that we didn't see, she actually did grow in the Force. Poe Dameron stuff was, the first 5 minutes, great. You get to see a bit of his character. He gets to be a great pilot. You get to force that point home again. Fine, and you get to know a little bit about him being rash and impulsive, so you set up a character arc there. That's all cool. I'm not sure that's paid off particularly well, and unfortunately after that first 10 minutes, I just feel like they could have found something better and more interesting for him to do. The Luke Leia moment's great. We badly missed out on a Han Luke moment in the last film, but Luke and Leia being able to be together, just have a little bit of camaraderie and whatever, was a really great throwback to the relationship that those characters had as friends in the original trilogy. And of course it leads to what very nearly, and actually might be, maybe my favourite moment in all of Star Wars, and it's the Luke versus Kylo showdown. I mean, maybe it's just because I grew up with Luke Skywalker, but I got a massive, massive giddy thrill from watching him looking cool, looking like a natural evolution of the Return of the Jedi Luke character. I wasn't a big fan of the aesthetic they used with the long hair and the white robes and what have you. I always felt that he would have carried on looking like he did in Jedi. He'd have stuck to the dark colours. But seeing him standing there with the lightsaber and stuff was just amazing. And the way he handled himself, it was cool. He just looked... it was just... I geeked out beyond all possible belief about that. And even though I felt all the way going through this movie that they're probably going to kill Luke here, he wins out and he says there, "See you around, kid." And you think, oh yes, he's clearly won the day. He's clearly made this point. And my God, they haven't done the obvious thing and killed him. He's going to be back for more. Which leads us into the stuff that, it's not so great about the movie. They killed Skywalker. And that has absolutely melted my brain. This is like 5 days I'm recording this after watching the movie. I walked out of the cinema and had to go for a walk on my own to clear my head. And there's people maybe watching this who are not into Star Wars and they're not into sci-fi and they're not into fantasy and anything that's remotely good or interesting about life. And, fair play, I'd be like that. No, it affected me. Now, here's the thing. I still haven't quite fathomed out whether I like it or not. Now, look. Having come from a media background, you're looking to get an emotional response from people when you make cinema, when you make television, whatever. That definitely drew an emotional response out of me. Yeah, right in the feels. And it made me, to make me think that much about it, it's clearly had an impact. And as a filmmaker, I'm sure Rian Johnson is absolutely over the moon that people are having debate, people are either for or against it strongly, because it means that he's made something that at least carries weight, that has value. And I get it. I get the decision. I absolutely do. Because look, they were quite ham-fisted in the approach. That's fine. You're looking to set Luke up as a legend. He's far more powerful as a legend at the peak of his powers, as a force of inspiration for the galaxy, than he is as a shadow of his former self. Look, we all saw Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original film, in A New Hope, and just... Now, of course, part of that is just because that's what Star Wars was when Lucas filmed the original one. But he felt very much like an old man who very much had his powers on the wane. To see Luke Skywalker almost go out at his strongest is great. But inevitably, as a fan, first and foremost, of the original trilogy, it feels like a massive disappointment not to keep him. So again, it's brilliant in some ways, but I can't quite fathom out whether I think it's good or it's bad, because inevitably, I love that character so much that I want to see more of that character. And to see him at the peak of his powers, it just makes you think, oh my God, just give us more of that. Rey's great character. Poe's okay, and Finn's the worst. It's the worst. Second worst. He's not great. Give us more Luke Skywalker. And I think it was because I had the rug pulled from under me, because when you get the whole "I see you around, kid," you think, great, he's going to come back and he's going to face him physically next time, and that'll be a thing. And then, oh no, he's looked into the sunset and now he's dead. I get it. I do. I get it from a storytelling perspective. It doesn't make my inner 10-year-old any happier about it. And that's because of the other big disappointment for me. Not having Princess Leia die. Finn's arc. What was the point? What was the point of Finn in that entire movie? And the worst thing about it is the massively underwhelming payoff with Captain Phasma. What was the point of her? What was the point of Captain Phasma at all? It could have just been another generic, higher up in military garb who played that role. And now I know. Toys. Captain Phasma toys, left, right and centre. Great. Fantastic. The story that he actually had, what was the point of that? You could take that entire story out. The movie would feel far less long and no one would greatly miss it. You could give that story to Poe Dameron, have him be a bit roguish, have him steal some stuff, have him break in. Great. Show his bravery. Fantastic. No, too many characters, and Finn just felt extra. And the worst thing about it is, because he's played so comedically, when John Boyega goes for drama, when he goes for a little bit of gravitas just to really hook you in, it falls flat, because it doesn't seem natural coming from that character. And that's a shame, because when he's really pressed up against it, we saw bits of it in The Force Awakens. He looked like a genuinely troubled character, like a guy who's got the weight of the universe on his shoulders. That's interesting. That's fascinating. He's got this backstory. Where has he come from? What was his upbringing? What are stormtroopers like him like? Is he a clone? Is he not a clone? Now, I'm sure these things are covered in the countless other materials that now accompany Star Wars, and I do like them, and I read a lot of them, and they're great, but I want to see that on film. That, for me, would have been far more interesting. The worst thing about his arc, it was the most prequelish of any part of that movie. The giant horse dogs that run around a bit. Yeah, that's George Lucas green screen-tastic, that, isn't it? Horrendous. Shoehorning some orphan children in with some really weird emotional backstory that falls totally flat from that little person, Rose, who was another massively pointless character. Take it out, man. Take it out. Give us 15 minutes of our life back. I guess that neatly leads me on to the real missed opportunities and unanswered questions. Now, look, I understand that this is part 2 of a trilogy. So, look, there's every chance that we'll get these, but I thought I'd cover my thoughts on them now anyway. Red Letter Media did this better than I ever will, but there needs to be more sex in Star Wars. Now, listen, we don't need hardcore, penetrative stuff, porn parodies. That's where you find that, I'm told.
In our movie, Darth Vibrator is a bad girl who wants to fuck the galaxy, literally, and it's up to Lube and Hung to stop her with their cocks.
So you and me get to have sex then?
Yeah.
Definitely been told about that. But I think there's a fear with Rey's character of having a fall in to some sort of old school archetypal girl role, as though somehow being in love with someone or having a deep emotional connection or falling foul of sex somehow makes it a weaker character. Well, listen, let me let you in on something, Disney. Women, big fans of sex too. Love it. Love it. Women love sex. They do. Absolutely do. And I would get it if there wasn't precedent set. And of course, the timelines of these are what they are. But Wonder Woman did this perfectly. Nothing wrong with a woman having sexual feelings for someone and then acting them out. It adds more spice, it adds more emotion, it gives more dramatic tension as well. Who would that be with? Look, it could have been with Finn. You could have had that as a thing, sort of set up in The Force Awakens if he wants to go down that path. Kylo could absolutely be with Kylo Ren. There could just be something there that they're getting in each other's heads. Now, I know it's a bit Twilight, or it's a bit...
You're a sadist?
I'm a dominant.
Maybe it is a bit too stereotypical to have the girl fall for the broken, bad, but whatever. Doesn't matter. I felt it would have felt raw. It would have felt believable. They've got this connection. Why not have it burst out? Look, you could see that there's some real emotion in the fight scene where they break through against Snoke. There could have been something more there, and just to add a hint of that, I feel would have upped the stakes, and it could have upped the ante as well in terms of then pushing them apart again, back to the opposite ends of the spectrum. Is it a bit Romeo? Is it a bit done? Yes, but Star Wars has all been done. Every story's been done. The strength of Star Wars is that it was based on these very pure story and character archetypes. The hero's quest, the hero's journey. There's nothing wrong with having elements in that, but maybe just put a little bit of a spin on them if you want to keep it fresh. Snoke's backstory. Who was Snoke? Does it matter now? No, he's dead. We'll probably never see that. Where did he get that big scar on his head? Who knows? We'll probably never find out because he's in two pieces. He's carved like Dewey Cox's brother.
Me! I'm haved!
Now I get that when the original trilogy started, we had no idea who the Emperor was. He was just a shadowy, hooded figure that was clearly a bit evil and he had a bit of a mangled face. So in some regards, you could say, look, it's exactly the same. Why do we need to know his backstory? Well, here's the thing. Now, this is changed by the prequels, of course, but the problem is we're coming into these movies, into a universe where our last understanding is the Sith are gone, the Emperor's gone, the New Republic is about to become a thing. To just have these guys drop in out of nowhere to hint at all this incredible, interesting stuff, the turning of Kylo Ren, the turning of Ben Solo, and to give us none of that. Mental. Why? Again, I could watch a whole movie of that. That would be interesting. That is fascinating to me. Give us that instead of giant horse dogs. It's like when they rebooted the DC universe with the new 52 and gave us a brand new Superman who had a completely different outlook on life. We had no idea where that character had been, so we didn't understand his tone of voice. We didn't understand what kind of person he was. And that's kind of similar to what we've got with this current Star Wars universe. There's such a big gap between Jedi and Force Awakens. And unless you read the Aftermath books, which I have done, and they're fine, they're okay, and they do a bit to fill in this stuff, it still doesn't give us a great sense of what's going on. There's some really interesting story potential there. Please don't save this stuff for the comics. The comics are great. I love them. I genuinely love them. But there would have been, even just 5 minutes of it would have made this story far more interesting. Rey's lineage. Oh, your parents were no one. Fuck off. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself, Disney. Don't do that, please. Now, I know the massive criticism, and it spread through all of this, the big criticism of The Force Awakens was that it was a retread of A New Hope. And I think there is a fear that they didn't want this film to completely and utterly be a retread of Empire. I get that, and that's fine. So look, to have a I'm your father, I'm your brother, I'm your uncle reveal just draws those direct comparisons and would have led to people just going, oh, it's just the same movie over and over again. Where's your originality, Star Wars? I don't care. I really don't care. What a disappointment. If that's true, then that is the most underwhelming thing that's happened in Star Wars since every word, motion, noise emanated from Jake Lloyd. I get that fan speculation is always likely to be more interesting than what actually happens. We saw this with Lost. All of the fan theories ended up being far more interesting and exciting than what actually happened. But you've got to give us something. Please, and there's been denials of this, but hold out all hope that Kylo Ren is lying to Rey to help get her on side. He's lying about the parents because he's playing into her fears, because you play into fear to turn people into the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. Whatever. Don't make Rey no one. Now, I know Star Wars is terrible for everyone's got a destiny, but it's fine for your main character to have a bit of destiny. That's the point, the hero's quest. It's the Skywalker saga. It can't surely be a Skywalker saga with no Skywalkers in the last part. Can't be, please. Go back and watch Force Awakens. Look at the camaraderie. Look at the relationship between Han and Rey. There's something there. They've teased that. There has to be. They have to have teased that for a reason. Just the looks, it's great. They tee it up to be something important so well. And I get misdirect. That's almost for me as bad as the Mandarin in Iron Man. Oh, he's just a fella. A funny, drunken fella. He's not this overlord. We've definitely not wasted one of the greatest actors of his generation, Ben Kingsley, on being a pissant with a heroin addiction.
Bloody hell.
Don't move.
I'm not moving. You want something? Take it. Although the guns are all fake because those wankers wouldn't trust me with the real ones.
What?
No, you have. Right, great. They're choosing to go with that. They have fucked that up royally. The lightsaber calling to Rey. What is that all about? Why is that not mentioned? She doesn't want to touch it again. And all of a sudden, she's touching it again. It's fine. It's not cold to her. Why have the Obi-Wan Kenobi thing? Why have the flashbacks or flash forwards? And then simply not pick up on it at all. And then looks like to totally sweep it under the rug. Baffling. Absolutely baffling. Next, Phasma. What was the point? What was the point of you? What was the point of Captain Phasma? You had a potential conflict there. You had an interesting sub-story. Completely wasted. Hands up when Captain Phasma turns up. If anyone else went, oh, yeah, that thing from the last film. Oh yeah, I remember. Wait, what has she been doing? That fight was massively underwhelming. Great, he gets to beat her and she dies horrifically. Whoop-de-doo. You've missed out on the chance to tell Finn's backstory. Where did he come from? Why is he different? What is it about him that makes him special? Why is he rebelling against the Empire? Are other people doing this? What was his life like? What is his connection to Phasma? I could have dealt with him being in a coma for 95% of that movie, his story being told through backstory while he's dreaming away and he's thinking about all these things that he's been hard done by, and more backstory with him and Phasma beating him and training him and teaching him to be the way he is, and then breaking out of that mold. And then he's forced into a one-on-one confrontation to save the day, and he does it. Great. Gives you that payoff. It's retold you the story. It's given you a greater emotional connection towards the antipathy between the two characters. Why does she care? There's no reason for them to really care about it. Maybe there is. They've just not told us it, and that's really annoying. And for me, the biggest missed opportunity was in not killing Leia. Now that might sound strange. Imagine having to deal with Luke and Leia going in one fell swoop in one movie. All the best characters are dead 2 films in. But here's the thing. Carrie Fisher's dead. She's not going to be back for the next movie. They've already said they're not going to do the wonderful Uncanny Valley thing of pasting a face on or what have you. But if they can't bring her back in, she can't physically be in that movie, it means they're going to have to kill her off screen. Now, listen, that's up to the writers to sort out. They've got a year or so to sort that out. But again, it's an opportunity. It's a hole they've written themselves into that they didn't have to write themselves into. Like I say, the things that are great. Some of the Luke Skywalker bits are fantastic. Again, I wanted more. I wanted more Jedi Academy. Luke and Kylo in a tent for 45 seconds, more interesting than half an hour of giant horse dogs. Are we going to get any more of that? We should do that. Give me that movie. Give me 90 minutes, 2 hours. Give me a trilogy of that. But no, instead we get the girl from Jurassic Park with purple hair who we're meant to feel something for, I guess. Like she's an important character because we're told she's important. And giant horse dogs. So look, I sound really downbeat about it and I feel a little bit like that. The thing is, I really want to go and watch it again. So in that regard, they've clearly crafted something there. They're into new territory. And here's the thing. Nobody can truly predict what's going to happen in the next episode. You can make some smart, educated guesses about this one based on some of the stuff that was set up. Although it does feel like they've gone, ha-ha, all of your expectations. I know all the signs pointed this way, but here's what we're going to do instead. Misdirect. Here's how we answer all those problems. We don't answer them at all. Ha, you never saw that coming. George Lucas did a lot of that. A lot of that. This feels once again like we're going into the 3rd film of a trilogy with so many questions that need answering. If we end up with another situation like wipe the droid's memories, what? We riot in the cinema. We do. What I feel it's left us with is with almost no choice but to move the universe on 5 or 10 years, have Leia be remembered in memoriam, and then see where the universe lies. The characters are all older, they're more mature, the Resistance has had a chance to grow, and now they're ready to make their final stand to, once and for all, defeat Kylo Ren, to retake the galaxy back from the First Order. And that's cool, man. I can live with that. I just think I could have lived with it a little bit better. Maybe if Luke was still there. Now listen, Force Ghosts, great, he'll be back. Maybe it'll lead towards a great Obi-Wan Kenobi story. Maybe we'll discover that Rey is a Kenobi or a Skywalker or a Solo. That would be amazing. JJ back, getting the chance to put to bed the story that he started, I think works very well. I'm not totally downbeat about it. I'm conflicted, angry and sad. Just a bit sad. Wouldn't it have been more fulfilling to just round off the Skywalker saga, round off this story, give Luke and Leia the best of their ability, one more story and wrap it up and move on from there. I don't know. Time's going to tell on that. I don't know. I'm going to have to watch it again. I genuinely am. I don't know how I feel about it. Let me know how you feel about it. If there's anything you think they got really right, you think I'm totally wrong on some of this stuff, please let me know in the comments below. Enjoy it. What did you like? What didn't you like? But yeah, look, listen, just a fella, just a fan, and it's just my opinion on why The Last Jedi is slightly too prequelish for my liking, you know, for what it's worth. Listen, like, subscribe, click my face to subscribe. If you want more movie-related stuff, let me know. I'm happy to do it. I'm a massive geek. This is the other side of my studio, the other side of my office. So if you want to see more, let me know. Nice one.